So, I got some international story times about to pop off. This one comes from a woman from France. She says, Bonjour, Lady Bourbon Bougie. I'm so happy to watch you, Jules, Melanie Hamlet, Khadijah, the French YouTube channel Sur la Table, and many others. I discovered your channel this year, and I wish I had found it earlier. Everything you talk about resonates with me. And that's cool because she's in France. But what I love most is when you ask members of your channel to show empathy towards those who share their stories. I have two stories, one from my past relationship and one from work. I broke up with a man child in 2019. I had been in a relationship with him since 2012. I was a student and he was in the military, always working. He left school early because he preferred working. He was kind, shared some of my political views, and was athletic, a runner. In short, he seemed perfect, or so I thought. When I earned my master's degree in management, he left the military to return to civilian life and go back to school. But from the beginning, I saw the flaws. His mother would bring him food in bed at the age of 25. He would have violent outbursts with his parents. He was disrespectful to his brother, whom he enjoyed belittling, and the same with his cousin. His father, who liked me a lot, even advised me to leave, citing the difference in mindset between us. What made me stay? The dogma of the church. I felt mentally trapped. I thought long and hard, reading the Bible on my own in search of an answer. Because for me, fleeing without trying to fix things didn't live up to the image of a good Christian I wanted to be. For the record, I didn't go to church every Sunday, but I read the Bible at home. So I stayed. But I told him that he needed to get help because I couldn't tolerate his violent anxiety attacks or his disrespectful behavior, especially when I was looking out for him. He began treatment at one of the best hospitals in Paris, St. Anne. The psychologist diagnosed several issues and he received treatment. However, he shared this with his hyper Catholic mother. She influenced him not to continue, while his father wanted him to keep going. I was furious. But my ex completed his treatment and noticed significant improvements, so I decided to stay, thinking he was making an effort. However, everything changed when we moved in together. My impression of him had been greatly influenced by the apparent improvement in his condition. His mother was too involved and couldn't resist subtly belittling me while stating, in any case, I know he's incapable and he'll end up homeless. At the same time, she pressured me to have children even though I had always made it clear that I wanted to work. Eventually, I broke up with him because he stopped seeking treatment and turned into the perfect covert narcissist. I didn't know the term at the time. For example, I would clean the house, go to work, and he would stay behind and make a mess. When I pointed it out, he would say, "I feel sick." I was done. When I said he was making a mess, he would deliberately destroy things because he knew I disliked disorder, and he knew I would end up cleaning it up. At the time, I kept thinking that he was pretending. When I came home late from work, he would have these hunger related fainting spells, manipulating me by saying it was due to the trauma of his childhood. I felt guilty and it was terrible. I took care of him, but I got sick myself. He consumed my time and energy. He became jealous because I earned more money than he did. When we went out, he was possessive and blamed it on his traumas. To remind you, he was adopted and suffered from famine and witnessed his biological mother being raped. I knew I knew about this and felt sorry for him, but it didn't give him the right to abuse my patience and kindness. Thanks to your videos and all of the women I mentioned, I finally stopped feeling guilty. I realized that I had been used by someone who didn't hesitate to say that I wasn't pretty or that I wouldn't have a choice but to end up with him because I would get older. So, I'm sorry. In short, a nice jerk, but still a jerk. I think Melanie H is right. They're the worst. They can get sick, threaten to unalive themselves, and as soon as they feel better, they'll dump you. I'll stop there. I realized that I'm stronger than I knew, that it's best to avoid being with a man who is less educated or earns less than you. I've also understood that the entire system works against women. Religious dogma about forgiveness can be a real trap, and jealousy is exploited between the individuals in a system based on exploitation. As an Aquarius, I'm glad to see it all finally collapsing. Thanks for all. Thank you all for existing. That's cool. I'm here. So she sent a follow up email. She says, okay, just to clarify, I live in France. I often read the comments and several things that prompted me to share my story. First, I'm 33 years old, and I met my ex when I was 23. Despite my 10 years of catechism, I never believed in the ideas that we are all sinners and other things that I won't mention. I grew up in a family where are educated and no one pushed me to get married or have children. My uncles always encouraged me. I have always identified as a feminist, ambitious, and committed. There are traumas in my family, but we have always talked about them and worked to clarify them. How did I end up in this situation? The people around me, friends at school, coworkers, they reproached me for being too career oriented. I was constantly criticized in these types of groups. I didn't understand. Now I do. I don't fit the mold, and that annoys them. I wanted to say this because parents can be lovely and family can be supportive, but the environment can be toxic. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your story. That just goes to show that it's not always the parents, it's not always the home life. Sometimes the culture can be the culprit. And we just wanted to bring that out. And I appreciate you for sharing your story with all of us. Go ahead, y'all who are watching this video, jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. Like, comment,